Hi, I'm Jody Hand, Mrs. Hand Painted, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you a new product that I've added to my Etsy shop that you can purchase a kit to paint along with me in my tutorial. So in the kit I've got everything that you need to create the watercolor galaxy. There's going to be mini samples of the paint that I make, handmade watercolor paints. You'll get 2 Etchr postcards, a dot of Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed-proof white, and then a roll of washi tape. There's 2 postcards in there and a little sheet of chipboard so that you can tape your paper down and you can follow along with me. And I also have the step-by-step instructions with photos and instructions in here as well. So if you don't want to follow along a video, you can go at your own pace and follow the instructions that I've included in there. Also in my shop you can purchase a beginner watercolor kit where I've put together some paper samples, a pack of brushes in multiple sizes. So there's 4 brushes in here. You'll get around 2, 6, 8, and a half inch flat, a roll of washi tape, and then there is 5 sheets of 6 by 9 inch B paper that's 100% cotton, and a little mini 2.5 by 3.75 inch the Legion Stonehenge paper that's 100% cotton as well, so you can try those out. And it just gives you some paper to kind of start out with, and the brushes that I'm using in the tutorial are also in this kit, and that's also available in my shop on Etsy, and you can find the link below in the description.
Alright, so you're going to go ahead and begin your project by putting your postcard down on some kind of cardboard or backing board. If you purchase my kit, I've included a piece of chipboard for you to tape down with a roll of washi tape. So you'll want to tape down all 4 sides of your postcard. And this is to prevent curling, rippling as you wet the paper, because as you get that cotton paper all the way wet, it's going to start to buckle and get little ripples in it, and it won't lay very flat. So this is something we're going to do just to keep the paper very nice and flat, and you'll also get a nice little white border around the edge after you peel the tape off. And we're going to let the water and the paint completely dry before we remove that tape. And I'll show you at the end of the video some little tips on how you can remove that tape without ripping your paper. So go ahead and get that all the way taped down, all 4 sides. Press it down nicely so that you don't have any gaps underneath the tape where water will seep under. And if you purchased my kit that has the brushes, these Creative Mark brushes with the yellow handles are available in the beginner watercolor kit. And I'm going to use the largest round brush, the size 8 in there. And I'm going to take clean water and I'm going to wet down my entire paper. And it doesn't really matter which brush you use. If you wanted to use the flat brush, you can do that, or it's just easier to lay down a lot of water with a larger brush. So the bigger brush you have, the better. And we'll go ahead and start with the lightest blue shade, but really you can choose any of the colors you want to create this. I'm going to make a kind of slanted oval, very narrow oval shape, and leave a little bit of white area in the middle, and then I'll just kind of make more ovals going outside from that and just surround it and blend the colors together. So if you want to change the color scheme of this, go ahead. I just chose to start with the lightest blue, go with the darker blue, and now I'm doing the purple, the medium shade of purple, and just kind of dropping the color in there, and try to work as quickly as possible so that your paper doesn't dry up, because then the colors won't flow across the page. So just kind of dab that on there, make the oval get bigger and bigger. And then I'm going to use that very darkest blue, and I'm going to surround that oval and go out all the way to the edge of my tape. And if you get a very light wash and you want to go darker, you can always let that layer dry, re-wet the paper, and do another layer over top. And as you can see, the colors are kind of just starting to bleed together. They're flowing across that wet paper. And after we get all of our colors laid down here, you can kind of use your paintbrush to push that color around and blend the different layers together. So I'm just getting my brush with a little bit of water on it, and I'm just going to blend that color around and let it flow across the paper. And if you want to drop in some more color, if you don't like how much you have, you can just add some more paint in areas that you want to add more color to. And just rinse your brush in between colors before picking up more paint. And if you wanted to do different colors, just choose whatever colors you want. And I recommend starting with a lighter color in the middle and then working your way out to that dark blue indigo color that's called Midnight in the set. I'm just adding more color here to make that darker. And then getting my brush just damp, and I can blend those colors together, make them flow nicely, and get nice soft transitions between the colors. All right, now at this point, if you want to just set your painting aside to let it dry, you certainly can. It might take 20 to 30 minutes to completely dry. And if you want to speed that process along, you can use a heat tool or a hair dryer like I'm using. This is a Ranger Heat It tool that I actually had from card making. A lot of scrapbook stores, you can also find it on Amazon. So I'll put a link to that in the description as well if you'd like to purchase a heat tool, or if you have a stamping embossing heat tool, those will also work to dry your paper quickly. And if you do use a regular hair dryer, just do a warm setting and just do low speed so you're not getting everything blown around on your desk. These heat tools are pretty nice because they just give you the warm and they have very low flow of air. All right, now that that's completely dry, I'm going to move on to my stars, and I'm just taping my tape down just a little, pressing that down a little more because the heat can kind of loosen the adhesive a little bit. And with that little dot, you're just going to wet that with the clean water. I actually didn't have my brush rinsed out very well there, but just get some of the white on your brush and then you'll tap it. And some tips to remember with this is the more water you have on your brush, the bigger your droplets will be of your splatter. So if you don't want big splatters, you'll want to just kind of dab your brush on a towel just to remove some of the excess water. And I'm getting my Midnight wet here just to activate some of that paint. And if you have a little palette you're using, you can get some of that paint ready. And I'm just taking my smallest brush, that size 2, and I'm going to practice the trees just to show you how I'm painting those so you can see it a little better. I'm going to do this along the bottom. We're going to do the silhouettes of these trees. And I just draw a guideline to make the tree center, and then I start up at the top and just dab my brush back and forth on either side of that guideline, and then get longer branches as I go out from the top. And if you just want to go ahead and practice that a little bit on a scrap paper before you begin, that's a good idea. And then I'm going to just start going from left to right. If you're left-handed, I would start the opposite side so that you don't put your hand in your paint. But I just go from left to right so that I don't brush my hand through the paint by accident as I work my way across. And I'm just going to lay those trees down at different heights and kind of overlap the edge of your tape so they look like they're kind of going off the side there, so you have a nice solid line of trees along the bottom. I'll just kind of overlap them a little bit so I don't have gaps in between the different trees, and just work my way across and vary the heights of the trees. So as you can see here, I made some that were taller, and I'm kind of making some shorter trees, and then I'll vary up the height here and maybe do a taller one in the middle. And I just keep loading my brush. With smaller brushes, they don't hold as much water as a larger brush, so you may need to keep reloading your brush, especially if you want this to be very dark on your top layer. You may need to keep adding a little bit of water to activate more paint. And remember to leave some spacing between your branches so that you can see the sky between, because we're just seeing a silhouette of the trees and they wouldn't be completely solid. There would be some branches of the tree that are a little thinner and spaces and gaps in between. All right, once I get across the entire bottom, I'm going to just clean my brush off, set that to the side, and I'm going to let this dry again, or if you want to use your heat tool again like I am, I'm going to let those trees dry, and then we'll remove the tape. All right, and I just sped up the video there so you didn't have to sit and watch me dry that. We are going to pull the tape away from the paper at a really sharp angle, almost completely flat in the opposite direction. So holding that at an angle really sharp like this, and that will pull the tape away without ripping your paper. Now, some less expensive papers or alpha cellulose papers may have a tendency to rip more, so you'll have to just test out different types of tape or paper if you are using anything different. But generally, this is a good method for removing tape, and you'll get those nice crisp edges. It looks like I did have a little bleeding on the one side where I didn't have my tape down, but here I've recreated it again. I've painted this several different times. You can see on the other one I had maybe a little bit bigger droplets of white because I had more water on my brush. So I've given you 2 postcards in the kit if you purchase my kit, so you can try this again. And I also have lots of other kits I'll be coming out with soon, so make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any future tutorials. I'll be doing a whole series of these postcard landscapes. Thanks for watching, and happy painting, everyone!